Hello, welcome to BBC London this lunchtime. I'm Victoria Cook. The last rough sleeper, still living in a London hotel under a COVID lockdown scheme, says he can't afford to leave and pay Westminster rates. Paul Atherton was moved as part of the government's response to homelessness during the pandemic. 3 years on, he's the last person in Westminster who remains part of that scheme. Anna O'Neill went to meet him.
My name's Paul Atherton. I live here in central London. I'm currently in temporary accommodation.
An online meeting between a homeless charity, a bank and those with lived experience of homelessness to try to understand some of the problems stopping them from accessing money.
There was a debt that was not mine that had been put on my account and impacted my credit score. That was sufficient to not allow the estate agent to rent to me, and that was the beginning of my homeless journey.
Before lockdown, Paul was sleeping on a bench at Heathrow Airport.
I was there with what turned out to be just over another 300 people across the terminals. Nearly everybody there are people who worked. They got up in the morning and they just went about their day and came back at sort of midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning and slept on the seats.
Then the pandemic struck and the Heathrow homeless were put into hotels under a scheme the government called Everyone In. Fast forward 3 years and Paul is the last person in Westminster still living in a hotel as part of Everyone In. But there's nowhere to cook or do laundry or store any belongings. You can be asked to move rooms at any time. And at the end of the month, Paul has to move to another hotel because this one is fully booked for the summer. And it's costing the council up to £250 a night.
It all comes back to this stupid notion of budgets. Under the housing benefit budget, they have a cap, and that cap is lower than our cheapest rent in Westminster now. Under the Everyone In budget and the rough sleeping budget, they seem to have no caps, and therefore they can spend whatever they like housing people.
The council told us, "We have gone to considerable lengths to support Mr Atherton over several years and have recently made an offer of permanent accommodation within Westminster. It is disappointing that, to date, Mr Atherton has refused to engage with this offer. The government has pledged to end rough sleeping by 2024, but that doesn't mean the problem of long-term temporary accommodation will be solved anytime soon." Anna O'Neill, BBC London.
The Met has issued an appeal for a 13-year-old girl who's gone missing after going to a birthday party in South London. Carmel Heppy was reported missing by her family in South Yorkshire on Sunday. Detectives believe she got the train to a party in Peckham on Sunday night. 3 men have been arrested on suspicion of kidnap. Next to Basildon, where the highest number of emergency calls has been received in the whole of Essex. Often these calls involve threats to life. This week is National Response Policing Week. It marks the courage of officers and recognises the challenges they face. Our reporter Debbie Tubby and cameraman Jamie Niblock have spent a late shift with one of the police units in the town and sent this report.
Police constables Luke Edmonds and Ali Kiyumi's job is to respond to 999 calls, but they don't know what they'll find until they get there.
You can be first on scene at a murder, you can be first on scene at a stabbing, and you could also be going to help someone who is in crisis.
They often deal with highly charged situations. Both are trained to use tasers.
Truth be told, it is scary, but you know, at the end of the day, you've got a job you need to do and people expect you to sort of do it.
I think today I'm parading with 13. That's 13 deployable officers.
Back at base, their inspector is keeping tabs on the 999 call-outs. Grade 1 incidents with a suspect still on scene or a serious threat to life.
We're on a late turn today and it's a very, very busy district. One of the busiest in the county. I think year to date, Basildon's had about 4,600 emergencies.
Back at the robbery, it's emerged it's a dispute between neighbours. A woman has been assaulted and a phone taken.
So we'll wait for another 2 units to get here. After those 2 units get here, we're going to go knock on the address, hopefully arrest the people inside who we believe are responsible for the incident.
We've been called to a female who's currently pregnant, who's being assaulted by a partner at the moment.
They respond as fast as possible, but drivers don't always move out of the way.
It can be frustrating that some members of the public maybe get scared or just panic and freeze. The main thing for them is to just remain calm.
Several officers have arrived to deal with the domestic, so the PCs take a different 999 call. A report of a stabbing involving some boys. It's corrected to a slapping. A bike and designer bag have been stolen. So does the level of crime justify the high speed they drive?
Ultimately, it's a decision they have to make based on the information they're given over the radio, and I think that's what's really important, because sometimes what's given to them over the radio, on reflection when you arrive, isn't quite what's happened.
The officers are all briefed before their shift and given support, especially as the police's reputation generally is at an all-time low.
It is probably the most difficult time in policing, I would say. Policing, or public confidence in the police has never been lower. But that's why it's so important to go out there and do a good job.
We had, if I look, 21 emergencies today. So it's definitely been a busy one for everyone, and they are very tired tonight.
It's a difficult, demanding and unpredictable job, which they'll do all again tomorrow. Debbie Tubby, BBC London.
Now, this is Essex tennis player Ryan Peniston. He says it'll be a pinch yourself moment when he plays at Wimbledon next week, but he says he'll be playing it for people going through cancer. Ryan was treated for cancer when he was just a baby. He endured repeated chemotherapy and surgery, but he says it's given him a different perspective on life and the sport he's.
I look back and I think how lucky I am and how grateful I am to be given almost a second chance at life. And I think I do have a different perspective on life to a lot of the tennis players, just because what I've gone through.
Please welcome up to centre court, Ryan Peniston.
My story started with one of the worst things in life there is, which is cancer. I was diagnosed with a soft tissue cancer at the age of 1, and I had chemotherapy, I had surgery, and then more chemotherapy. My parents must have gone through absolute hell. At times it was touch and go. I think with cancer you never really know what's going to happen, and that's one of the worst things about it. But thanks to a lot of great people, nurses and doctors, I'm able to sit here. The older I got, the more I appreciated, kind of everything they did for me and everything that I've been able to do. Yeah, it gave me a really good perspective on life.
Just gets better and better for Ryan Peniston.
When I'm playing at Wimbledon, I feel like I'm not just playing for myself. Sometimes I use it as a strength, so I feel like I'm playing for people that are going through similar things and trying to give them a bit of hope to see what's possible. Anyone who's going through troubles like that, if I can give them any sort of hope or inspiration for 1 second, it means a lot to me.
Good luck to Ryan, I hope he does well. Now, it's been quite wet this morning in London, hasn't it? Let's find out if that weather's here to stay. Here's the weather forecast with Elizabeth Rizzini.
Hello there, good afternoon. At last, some good news for the parks and the gardens across the capital with some appreciable rainfall totals. All courtesy of a cold front, the first frontal rain for a while, of course. Pushing eastwards throughout the morning, we've seen some heavy downpours as captured by our weather watchers here in Wandsworth and again in Puddle Dock. And of course, behind the cold front, some fresher feeling conditions. We've lost the humidity from the air. There will be some sunny spells and it is looking mostly dry, just a small chance of 1 or 2 isolated showers. Top temperatures in the best of the sunny spells, 21 or 22 degrees Celsius. Now, of course, it won't feel so muggy and humid overnight tonight, much more comfortable for sleeping, cooler too, clear skies. Temperatures in some of our rural spots could drop back into high single figures. So we're starting off on a bright sunny note tomorrow. It's the same sort of day but the other way round. We will see the cloud amounts increase from the west as we go through the afternoon. We've got a warm front coming through, maybe some dribs and drabs of rain by the time we get to the end of the day. The wind is also set to pick up as well. It's a southwesterly wind and it's going to feel quite humid yet again. Now, as we head through the weekend, it is looking largely dry. We'll be feeling fresher again, some sunny spells, quite breezy.
Well, that's all from us here on the Lunchtime team. Thanks for joining us. Asad Ahmed will be here with our next bulletin at 6:30 later. I hope you can join him then. But for now, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.